local, state, tribal, and federal partners targeted one of the largest and most dangerous drug trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations in our country.
4:14 a.m. Minneapolis, Minnesota. The temperature had dropped to -7 degrees. Ice covered the sidewalks. The city slept under a blanket of silence. But outside the federal courthouse on South 4th Street, a convoy was forming. 18 unmarked black SUVs lined up in perfect formation. No sirens. No flashing lights. Just the cold breath of 127 federal agents preparing to move. Their target was Judge Layla Mahed, age 51. Appointed 8 years ago. To the Somali community, she was a trailblazer. To federal intelligence, she was a pipeline for the CJNG cartel. The order came at 4:18 a.m. Execute now. Engines roared to life in the frozen darkness. If you want the full truth about what happened next, hit like so this story reaches more people. The convoy split into 4 tactical units. FBI, DEA, ICE, U.S. Marshals. Each team had a specific location. Each location held a piece of the network. Judge Mahed's private chambers were first. Agents approached the entrance at 4:31 a.m. The door was reinforced steel, triple deadbolts. Security cameras covered every angle. A tactical team moved forward with a battering ram. First strike, the frame shook. Second strike, metal groaned. Third strike, the door collapsed inward. The sound echoed through the empty hallways. Inside, agents found a workspace that looked normal at first glance. Oak desk, leather chair, American flag in the corner, framed law degree on the wall. But behind a false panel in the wall, they discovered something else entirely. Stacks of cash, vacuum sealed, organized by denomination. Agents counted for 40 minutes straight. $43.7 million in US currency. Another compartment held 847 kilograms of pure fentanyl, enough to produce 1.2 million lethal doses. This wasn't a judge's office. This was a distribution command center. If this shocks you, comment exposed below. While the first team secured the chambers, the second unit hit a warehouse in St. Paul. The building was registered as a non-profit community center. Tax-exempt status. Clean inspection records. Agents breached at 4:39 a.m. What they found inside rewrote the investigation. Industrial packaging equipment. Hydraulic presses. Vacuum sealers. Label printers running on backup power. 3 workers attempted to flee through a rear exit. K-9 units cut them off within seconds. All 3 were armed with modified AR-15s. No shots were fired. All suspects secured. In the main warehouse space, agents discovered 2,645 pounds of narcotics. Cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, fentanyl, all packaged for street distribution. The packaging labels showed destinations across 17 states. But the most shocking discovery came from a locked office on the 2nd floor. Digital forensics teams found 6 laptops still running encrypted communication software. The messages were still transmitting in real time. Coordinates, delivery schedules, payment confirmations. One message sent at 4:22 a.m. read, "Route compromised. Activate Protocol 7." Protocol 7 was the emergency evacuation plan. They knew the raid was coming. Someone had tipped them off. Type yes if you're ready to see how deep this goes. The third team moved on a residential property in Bloomington. Intelligence indicated this was Judge Mahed's personal residence. From the outside, it looked like any other suburban home. 2-car garage, manicured lawn, Christmas lights still hanging from the gutters. Agents entered at 4:47 a.m. The interior told a different story. In the basement, behind a false wall disguised as utility shelving, they found a room that didn't exist on any blueprint. 20 feet long, 10 feet wide, climate-controlled. The walls were lined with filing cabinets. Each drawer contained meticulously organized documents. Ledgers dating back 6 years. Bank statements from 14 different accounts. Wire transfer receipts showing $212 million in movement. But it wasn't just money. One cabinet held 89 judicial orders signed by Mahed herself. Emergency motions. Sealed warrants. Custody transfers. Each one had been used to facilitate cartel operations. One order released a suspect 20 minutes before IC could execute a detainer. Another sealed evidence in a drug case that later disappeared from the evidence room. She hadn't just protected the network. She had weaponized her position to build it. Investigators found communication logs showing 43 direct contacts with a man named Abdirahman Noor. He was the logistics coordinator for the CJNG's Midwest operations. Their last meeting occurred 3 days before the raid. Location: a private room at a downtown restaurant. Duration: 2 hours and 17 minutes. Surveillance teams had photographed them through the window. Mahad was shown documents. She signed papers. Money changed hands. The evidence was undeniable. If you believe judges who betray their oath should face maximum sentences, comment justice below. At 5:03 a.m., the fourth team struck a location that intelligence had flagged as high priority. A freight logistics company near the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. The company was called North Star Transport Solutions. On paper, it moved agricultural equipment and industrial supplies. In reality, it was a front. Agents moved through the loading bays with weapons drawn. The facility was empty except for one night manager who surrendered immediately. Inside the main warehouse, they found shipping containers still being loaded. Forklifts sat idle mid-operation. Manifests were scattered across desks. One container was scheduled to depart at 6 a.m. destination, Los Angeles. From there, it would be transferred to a cargo ship bound for Guangzhou, China. Agents forced the container open. Inside were 1,847 kilograms of methamphetamine concealed inside industrial machinery labeled as farming equipment. The street value exceeded $94 million. But that wasn't the only container. Agents opened 14 more. Each one held narcotics disguised as legitimate cargo. Agricultural parts, construction materials, medical supplies. The total seizure from this single location reached 4.2 tons. One manifest showed the shipment had been cleared by a customs inspector named Hassan Warsame. He had approved 67 similar shipments over the past 18 months, all without secondary inspection. Federal agents arrested Warsame at his home 90 minutes later. He was still asleep when they knocked. Share this so more people understand how deep the corruption runs. By 5:31 a.m., all four teams had secured their locations. The radio chatter confirmed what command already suspected. This wasn't isolated. This was infrastructure. Judge Mahad had built a system that operated openly within government structures. She used her judicial authority to issue orders that protected cartel operations. She signed documents that removed oversight. She granted motions that released key operatives. And she had help. Financial analysts traced the $43.7 million found in her chambers to a network of 31 shell companies. The companies had names that sounded legitimate: Midwest Consulting Group, Northern Trade Solutions, Twin Cities Financial Services. None had employees. None had offices. None had products. They existed only to move money. The wire transfers followed a pattern. Payments arrived from accounts in Panama, the Cayman Islands, and Dubai. They were broken into amounts just below federal reporting thresholds: $9,800, $9,200, $8,500. Each transfer was designed to avoid automatic scrutiny. Over 6 years, the network moved $437 million through these accounts. The money flowed in from cartel drug sales. It flowed out to corrupt officials, logistics coordinators, and enforcement personnel who looked the other way. One account belonged to a Minnesota state trooper. He received $4,200 every month for 3 years. His assignment: patrol the highway corridors where cartel shipments moved. He filed 0 suspicious activity reports during that entire period. Another account belonged to a deputy sheriff in Hennepin County. He received $6,800 monthly. His role: ensure that specific vehicles were never pulled over during transport windows. A third account belonged to a city council member in St. Paul. She received $11,000 monthly. Her job: push through zoning variances that allowed cartel front businesses to operate in commercial districts without additional scrutiny. All of them were arrested in coordinated sweeps between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. None of them resisted. Most were still in pajamas. If you support the agents who are cleaning up our cities, comment "Drain the swamp" below. By mid-morning, the scale of the operation became clear. This wasn't just Minneapolis. The network stretched across state lines. Additional raids were executed simultaneously in Wisconsin, Iowa, and South Dakota. Over 240 federal agents participated. In Madison, Wisconsin, agents hit a warehouse registered to a trucking company. Inside, 1,120 pounds of cocaine hidden in false bottom freight containers. In Des Moines, Iowa, a storage facility yielded $18.3 million in cash and 340 kilograms of heroin. In Sioux Falls, South Dakota, agents arrested a logistics manager who had been coordinating shipments through rural highways to avoid interstate checkpoints. Each location connected back to the same network. Each operation had been approved, protected, or facilitated by someone with official authority. The common thread was always the same: Somali immigrants placed in key positions throughout state and local government. They weren't all criminals, but the ones who were had been strategically positioned. Federal analysts identified 58 individuals across 4 states who held positions in law enforcement, judiciary, transportation, and municipal administration. All had financial ties to the network. All had taken payments. All had used their authority to enable cartel operations. This wasn't immigration. This was infiltration. Type expose if you want to see the full list of names. The evidence recovered from Judge Mahad's chambers told the story in brutal detail. One ledger documented payments made to 22 public officials. The amounts ranged from $2,400 to $19,000 per month. Each official was listed by role, not name. Highway Patrol Unit 7, Courthouse Clerk, Division 3, Zoning Administrator, District 9. The ledger included performance notes. Officials who successfully cleared shipments received bonuses. Those who raised questions were marked for replacement. One entry from 14 months ago read, District 4 Inspector flagged container 881. Removed from route. Replacement identified. That inspector was later transferred to a desk job in a rural county. He never worked cargo inspections again. The system was ruthless. It rewarded loyalty and eliminated obstacles. Another document outlined recruitment strategies. The cartel specifically targeted Somali immigrants with financial difficulties, student loans, medical debt, family obligations back in Somalia. They offered cash payments in exchange for small favors, overlooking a paperwork error, delaying an inspection, approving a permit without secondary review. Once someone accepted the first payment, they were locked in. The cartel documented everything: photographs, recordings, bank records. If anyone tried to back out, they were threatened with exposure. And if threats didn't work, enforcement teams made house calls. 3 individuals who attempted to leave the network disappeared between 2019 and 2023. None of them were ever found. Federal investigators believe their remains were disposed of in rural areas outside Minneapolis. If this makes you angry, hit like now. Judge Mahad's role went far beyond signing papers. She was the architect. Wiretaps revealed that she personally recruited at least 11 officials into the network. She identified candidates based on financial vulnerability and access to critical systems. One recording from April 2023 captured her speaking with a court clerk named Hamza Osman. He was drowning in credit card debt and facing eviction. Mahad offered him $5,000 immediately and $3,200 per month going forward. His job: ensure that specific case files were delayed, misrouted, or sealed before federal authorities could access them. He accepted. Another recording from June 2023 showed Mahad meeting with a transportation supervisor named Yasmin Abdi. She had 3 children and a husband with a chronic illness. Medical bills were crushing her. Mahad offered her $8,000 upfront and $4,500 monthly. Her assignment: approve overweight load permits for trucks carrying concealed narcotics without triggering weigh station inspections. She also accepted. The recordings showed Mahad's method. She didn't threaten. She didn't intimidate. She offered solutions to desperate people. And once they were in, she owned them. If you want to see how this system spread, comment investigate below. The community impact became visible within hours of the arrests. In neighborhoods across Minneapolis and St. Paul, Somali residents gathered outside their homes. Some were angry. Some were confused. Many were in denial. Local leaders held emergency meetings. Imams addressed their congregations. Community organizers released statements calling the raids discriminatory. But the evidence was overwhelming. And it wasn't about race or religion. It was about crime. Federal officials made that clear in press conferences. This wasn't targeting an ethnic group. This was dismantling a criminal network that had embedded itself within that community. The Somali population in Minnesota exceeds 87,000 people. The vast majority are law-abiding residents who came to America seeking safety and opportunity. But within that population, a criminal element had taken root. And it had done so with precision. Cartel recruiters specifically targeted recent immigrants. They exploited cultural ties, language barriers, and economic desperation. They offered money. They offered protection. They offered belonging. And in exchange, they demanded loyalty to an organization that poisoned American communities with drugs. The seized fentanyl alone could have killed over 1.8 million people. Let that sink in. The narcotics recovered from Judge Mahad's network had the potential to devastate entire cities. And it was moving through systems designed to protect the public. If you believe every city needs to audit officials for cartel ties, hit subscribe now. Hospitals across the Twin Cities had been seeing the impact for years. Emergency room doctors reported surges in overdose cases starting in 2019. The numbers climbed steadily. By 2023, overdose admissions in Hennepin and Ramsey counties had increased by 67%. Most cases involved fentanyl-laced narcotics. Many victims had no idea what they were taking. They thought they were using prescription pills or recreational drugs. Instead, they were ingesting poison manufactured in cartel labs and distributed through Judge Mahad's network. Paramedics described responding to scenes where multiple people had overdosed simultaneously.
House parties, homeless encampments, college dorms.
One EMT recalled a call in August 2023.
4 teenagers at a high school party, all 4 unresponsive.
2 were revived with Narcan.
2 were not.
The drugs had been purchased from a dealer operating 3 blocks from the school. That dealer received his supply from a distributor connected to the North Star transport network. The chain led directly back to Judge Mahad. Parents who lost children to overdoses later learned their deaths were connected to a system protected by a sitting judge. The betrayal cut deeper than the grief. Federal prosecutors moved quickly. Within 72 hours of the raids, a grand jury returned indictments against 89 individuals. Judge Layla Mahad faced 47 separate charges: drug trafficking, racketeering, money laundering, abuse of authority, conspiracy to distribute controlled substances. Each charge carried a potential sentence of up to 20 years. Combined, she was looking at life in prison without parole. Her arraignment was held in the same courthouse where she had presided for 8 years. She entered in handcuffs and an orange jumpsuit.
The courtroom was packed.
Victims' families filled the gallery.
Some wept, some shouted.
Marshals had to restore order twice. Mahad showed no emotion. She sat with her hands folded, staring straight ahead. Her attorney entered a plea of not guilty. He argued that his client was being scapegoated due to her ethnicity and her position as a prominent Somali leader. Federal prosecutors responded with evidence. They presented recordings of her recruiting corrupt officials. They showed ledgers documenting millions in bribes. They displayed photographs of her meeting with cartel coordinators. The judge presiding over the arraignment set bail at $50 million. Mahad couldn't pay it. She was remanded to federal custody pending trial. As she was led out of the courtroom, one mother stood and screamed, "My son is dead because of you." Marshals escorted the woman outside, but her words echoed through the building. Comment accountability if you believe justice must be served. The network's collapse triggered a cascade of secondary investigations. Federal authorities began auditing every case Judge Mahad had overseen during her 8-year tenure. Over 2,100 cases were reviewed. Investigators found irregularities in 341 of them. Sealed motions that shouldn't have been sealed. Evidence that disappeared from records. Suspects released on technicalities that didn't hold up under scrutiny. In one case from 2021, Mahad dismissed charges against a man named Mohammed Farah. He'd been arrested with 83 kilograms of cocaine during a traffic stop. Mahad ruled that the search was unconstitutional. The drugs were inadmissible. Farah walked free. 2 months later, Farah was arrested again, this time with 140 kilograms of methamphetamine. He was convicted and sentenced to 18 years. But the first case had been pure corruption. Mahad had dismissed it because Farah was a mid-level distributor for the network. Cases like this appeared repeatedly. Prosecutors estimated that at least 67 cartel operatives had been released or had charges reduced due to Mahad's interference. Some of those individuals went on to commit additional crimes. Violent crimes. Murders. One man she released in 2020 was later convicted of killing a witness in a federal drug case. The witness had been preparing to testify against a cartel logistics coordinator. The murder occurred 6 weeks after Mahad's ruling set the suspect free. The depth of the corruption was staggering, and it had been hiding in plain sight. Share this before it gets buried. The financial investigation revealed how the network sustained itself. Cartel payments arrived through international wire transfers disguised as business transactions.
Consulting fees, equipment purchases, service contracts.
The money landed in accounts controlled by shell companies. From there, it was distributed to corrupt officials through secondary transfers. One shell company, called Midwest Advisory Partners, received $87 million over 4 years. The company had no website, no phone number, no physical address. It existed only as a name on banking documents. The account holder was listed as a man named Abdi Yusuf. Federal agents tracked him to an apartment in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. When they arrived, they found the apartment abandoned. Furniture was still inside. Mail was piled by the door. But no one had been there for weeks. Neighbors said Yusuf had left suddenly in early January. He loaded 2 suitcases into a car and drove away. They hadn't seen him since. Investigators believe he fled the country once he learned the raids were imminent. Immigration records show he boarded a flight to Istanbul on January 8th. From there, the trail went cold. Yusuf remains a fugitive. Interpol has issued a red notice. But extradition from Turkey is complicated. He's one of 12 individuals who successfully escaped before arrests could be made. All 12 had advance warning. All 12 disappeared within a 48-hour window. Someone inside the investigation leaked operational details. Federal authorities launched an internal review. They examined communication logs. They audited access to classified briefings. They interviewed personnel. The leak was traced to a field agent in the Minneapolis FBI office. His name was Jamal Hashi. He'd been with the Bureau for 6 years. Clean record. No red flags. But financial analysis revealed deposits into his account that didn't match his salary. $31,000 in unexplained cash over 9 months. Hashi was arrested at his desk on January 21st. He confessed within hours. He admitted to passing information to an intermediary who worked for the network. He didn't know the final destination of the intelligence. He just knew he was being paid to share it. Hashi is now facing federal charges for obstruction and conspiracy. He's cooperating with investigators in exchange for a reduced sentence. His betrayal allowed 12 suspects to escape, but it also confirmed what investigators had suspected. The network had compromised law enforcement at multiple levels. If you believe every federal agency needs to be audited, comment audit now below. While arrests continued, federal teams began the process of asset seizure. They froze 47 bank accounts containing a combined total of $198 million. They seized 22 properties, including Judge Mahad's $2.1 million home in Bloomington. They confiscated 34 vehicles, including luxury cars registered to shell companies.
Mercedes, BMW,
Range Rover, all purchased with drug money. They took control of 6 businesses operating as fronts. A car wash in St. Paul, a grocery store in Minneapolis, a halal meat market in Burnsville,
a clothing boutique in Edina,
a phone repair shop in Brooklyn Park, a money transfer service in Richfield. All of them were legitimate on the surface, but all of them had been used to launder cartel proceeds. The car wash, for example, reported $1.9 million in revenue over 2 years. But utility records showed water usage consistent with a facility processing fewer than 12 cars per day. The numbers didn't match. The business was a funnel. The grocery store showed similar discrepancies. It reported selling $340,000 in goods per month, but supplier invoices revealed purchases of only $67,000 in inventory during the same period. Where was the rest of the product coming from?
It wasn't.
The sales were fabricated to justify cash deposits. Every business in the network followed this model. Fake revenue, fake expenses, real money laundering. Federal prosecutors are seeking full forfeiture of all assets. The total value exceeds $290 million. That money will be redistributed. Some will go to victims' families. Some will fund drug treatment programs. Some will support law enforcement operations. But no amount of money will undo the damage. Type sees it all if you support total asset forfeiture. The trial is scheduled to begin in September 2026. Legal experts predict it will last at least 4 months. Judge Mahad's defense team is preparing a strategy based on claims of selective prosecution. They argue that she's being targeted because of her ethnicity and her prominence in the Somali community. Federal prosecutors reject that argument. They point to the evidence: recordings, financial records, testimony from cooperating witnesses. Over 40 individuals have agreed to testify against Mahad in exchange for reduced sentences. Many of them were low-level participants in the network. They'll describe how she recruited them, how she paid them, how she threatened them if they tried to leave. One witness, a former court clerk, described a meeting where Mahad told him, "You take the money, or your family back home has problems." It wasn't a suggestion. It was a threat. Another witness, a transportation coordinator, described how Mahad personally delivered cash payments in unmarked envelopes. She would meet him in parking lots, hand him the money, remind him of his obligations. She never wrote anything down. She never sent emails. She operated with precision and paranoia.
But she made one mistake.
She trusted people who later turned on her. The prosecution's case is built on the testimony of those insiders. Combined with physical evidence and financial records, it's nearly impossible to refute. Legal analysts give Mahad less than a 5% chance of acquittal. If convicted on all counts, she'll spend the rest of her life in federal prison. And given the severity of the charges, there will be no parole.